to local politics. With me in the studio is former Liberal Minister, now Principal at Z Advisory, Z Seselja, former long-time Labor advisor, now at Fitzpatrick Advisory, Eamonn Fitzpatrick. Gentlemen, great to see you both. Eamonn, those pictures out of Sydney yesterday with Narendra Modi were quite extraordinary, and not your everyday reaction to a politician.
That's right, Kieran. Look, I think that is one of the truly great achievements of this government has been foreign policy, no doubt about that. Really strengthening some of those ties with our big partners. I mean, that's the sixth meeting, I think, between these two so far. And I've got to say, you know, India is definitely a partner that you want to be working with, particularly as geopolitical tensions continue to destabilise. So, you know, I think the strength of that should not be underestimated at all. And it's going to be an opportunity for our economy, opportunity in terms of our sort of security and our strategic interests right around the region. So, you know, I think that's something that this government should be congratulated for.
Well, a lot of governments have sort of had it on their radar to build ties with India. It's been sort of perennially underdone, though, hasn't it?
Well, I wouldn't say it was under the last government. In fact, I mean, first I'd say we have an extraordinary Indian diaspora here in Australia, and those ties have been growing for a long time, and it's been a fantastic thing. But the last coalition government, of course, was picking up the pieces from the uranium sales ban under the former Labor government, and I think under Abbott, under Turnbull and under Morrison, I thought we saw a real expansion of that relationship in many ways, whether it was trade, whether it was with the Quad. So that relationship has been growing and building over the last several years. I think we can take a lot of credit for that on the coalition side. I think it's great that we're seeing bipartisanship on it. I think it is a very, very important relationship, and both sides of Australian politics recognise that, and I think the Indian government likewise sees Australia as a key partner.
The debate on the Voice referendum bill is in Parliament this week. A couple of important speeches, one from Peter Dutton, one from Scott Morrison today, among others, but they're the ones that sort of have grabbed our attention. The Morrison speech was criticised by Chris Bowen. He was on the program a little while ago. He said the guy that swore himself into multiple ministries, questioning that the Voice could undermine executive government, sort of asking that cheeky question. Is that fair enough?
I think that's pretty cheap politicking. And the reason I would say that is when a former Prime Minister makes a contribution on a constitutional change, it's about what it means, this constitutional change, what it will mean for the long term. And I think most Australians would see that as pretty cheap politicking. I think if we look at the substance of what was said, I think he made a number of important points. And for me, there's a couple of points that are standing out as concerns for the yes case, and I think that many Australians will be considering as they come to their vote. One is this issue of equality of citizenship. You know, I think myself, as the son of migrants, the great promise of Australia is that you can come here from anywhere in the world, and regardless of where you're born, where your parents are born, where you're from, we are all equal. And I think that the other point that Scott Morrison made, which was well made, is that previous efforts, things like the 1967 referendum, were actually about addressing an inequality in the Constitution or in the law. This would go in another direction. I think it's one of the concerns that many Australians have.